Hi, this is Stacia, and we're going to take a look at a training game as part of my climb to 1800. Okay, so let's have a look at this one. I did get the white pieces, which is always nice. Um, I played the move 1e4, and, well, let me turn off the engine. Always a good idea. You draw conclusions, then check the engine. That's how that should work. Okay, so g6, an unexpected move, but this is the modern defense. And I actually went out of my repertoire here. I usually play d4, and for some reason I played knight c3. Can't tell you why, but I think it's fine. My knight normally ends up here in front of the pawn anyway, and I go for d4 and f4. Usually is the structure I prefer here. Bishop g7 and d4, so it transposed into my repertoire anyway. And now c6. So sometimes you can see the perk defense with the move d6, and this transposes into the perk defense. And I think this is called the Austrian attack after something like knight here. And I will check the opening book. Castles. Yeah, and bishop d3 is the normal move. You can also play e5 here, which I actually think is more my style these days. Just asking for a more open game. But yeah, here in this game, he played c6. So this is a little bit different. Definitely a different opening. It's more like a Caro-Kann type move. And I was pretty certain he would go d5. So I played f4, and he did go d5. And here, well, my pawn's attacked. If he takes it, I can recapture with the knight. I think that's fine, though. Actually, it's not fine. This will probably fall. So maybe it is a threat, and I need to defend this. So, yeah, that is what I did. And he did take, and so I should take with the knight, I think. Okay, and I'm not unhappy with my position so far. I think this type of structure, it's not a Marazzi bind because the pawns would need to be shifted over, but some kind of bind. All right, so he played knight in. And here I really, I don't usually like to take that knight, but here I thought it made some sense to take it. He'll either have to double his pawns or drag his bishop to a worse square. I think the bishop would rather be here. So I did take, and let's see if the computer agrees with that. It's probably my first question of the game. And the computer does not want to take it. It wants to play bishop d3. This is the other move I considered, because if he does capture, I could then recapture with the bishop. I didn't understand why my bishop would be good here, though. Subject to attack, running into a brick wall. So I don't, it says black's a little bit better here. I kind of agree. So instead, oops, I took here. Wow, and this is interesting. So it says black should take with a pawn. And if black takes with a pawn, black is better. And that was the move I actually expected. He took with the bishop, however, and like I was saying, the bishop's a little misplaced. So, I mean, I even have this idea, just getting that with tempo. It wouldn't be so bad to like storm the king side. So, okay, let's go on with the game. Turn the engine back off. Okay, so here I figured, I should develop in castle, right? He was forcing me to do stuff, and then I took the knight of my own free will, misplacing the bishop. I need to develop. So bishop e2. Yeah, I did not want to play this and allow the capture, because now my bishop blocked my queen's defense. So I think that was a mistake. Computer agrees. Bishop takes d4. Okay, so bishop e2 instead. I thought that would prevent the pin on g4, but he did play this anyway. I kind of doubt that's a good move. I guess he's going after the d pawn, but I can play bishop e3. I would think that would be okay. Oh, I played c3. In hindsight, I like bishop d3 better. Let's see what the computer said. Bishop e3, sorry. Yeah, bishop e3 gives an advantage. I think c3 is second best. It is a solid move. I guess I was feeling solid here. But I do make a mistake coming up. It's not fatal or anything, but okay. So he castled. And probably I was definitely thinking about castling queenside here and then going in with a pawn storm, either this idea or this idea. I wasn't sure which one, but both look kind of appealing. Wow, computer wants to castle kingside. Yeah, and I kind of winced after I made this move. I was like, well, why'd I do that? I should develop. Like, there's no real reason to play this move. I was just encouraging him to take the knight. And he did take the knight. Because this helps me get g4. That's a little committal, though, and a little premature. So I don't love this. And then he played e6. Now, one sad thing is that I didn't even notice this move, bishop h4 check, during the game. Looks pretty obvious now. I mean, look at my dark squares. So I definitely shouldn't have played h3 because it stops me from playing g3. And that means that he can play this move, and I'll have to move my king. So I wonder if I should avoid that and castle here. I think I should. But I played bishop d2, and that does allow the check. Probably shouldn't allow that. It just takes away my castling rights. But I do think I'm fine after like king e2 or king f1 is probably okay. I went with king e2 though because I had dreams of hiding my king on this side of the board still. Or maybe trading queens and just station on the d3 square. He doesn't have a light square bishop, so I might be safe there. Queen b6, attacking a pawn. I don't like that move by him. I thought he should do something else. Although I was planning bishop e8. I mean, why not just develop here? Get his knight in the game. I would play knight d7. Now I see the computer likes that the best. Yeah, this move kind of like, it allows me to play queen b3, which I think is desirable for me. It connects my rooks and offers a queen trade, and my king will suddenly be positioned better than his king. Yeah, so now knight d7, offering a trade. Definitely was thinking about taking it. I didn't take it yet. Bishop here first. So there is queen a6 check here. Computer likes it. I'm not sure why though. I mean, I would probably just move the king. Maybe just this. I don't think the queen is coming into my position. Maybe the queen is. No. No, I got everything covered in there. And then if this, I think I'd be pretty happy with this. This should be slightly better for black, for white, I mean. No, computer says slightly better for black. Okay. Shows that I know. Maybe it's because it's a closed position, so the knight is a little bit better. Okay, but anyway, let's look at what actually happened. So he moved his bishop away, leaving my bishop on a strange square. But I was okay with this. I thought I really should come to maybe here or maybe even here. I don't know. I don't want to block my pawns though. So I did trade queens. Was this correct? Computer does not think so. Yeah, actually this A file becomes pesky, so I thought I was going to play A3 and not worry about it, but it turns out that I never really have time to, I don't have a whole lot of time to do that. So instead, I think I could play G3 and just solidify the F pawn, or I could play, what about this move? What's this like? Yeah, that's fine. What about this move? No, it doesn't like it. Okay, so anyway, I did trade. This is still fine. And G4. Wasn't exactly sure what to do here. It's like I wanted to put my bishop here, but not in front of the pawn. So that's why I played G4. Computer likes it though. Likes A4 the best. Okay. So just taking care of that weakness. Oh yeah, and I was worried about playing A3 because I just felt like this might be a plan, and with it supported by the bishop and my rook's not currently defended, it probably will be defended soon. But it just feels like black's getting play on that side of the board. So A4 was the best. G4. Yeah, here comes B5, and he could potentially play B4. Bishop G3, Bishop D6. I was surprised by Bishop D6. I guess he's planning on G5. That's the only thing I could think. Because my bishop is undefended here. So the pawn is pinned. So I went here, Bishop H2. I have to admit though, right around here is when it felt like black had annoying pressure, and that I assumed I was a little bit worse. And I'll turn on the engine. Yeah, I am a little bit worse. After F5, minus 0.8 for black, and after knight B6, minus 0.6. Yeah, I think it comes down to this rook being good and mine's passive. That's the main thing in the position. But also, even though I have the two bishops, it's closed. And I wasn't seeing easy ways to open the position either. I mean, if I could get A4, that would do it, but that looks hard. I was actually thinking about this as a way to open the position. But if I don't get the position open, those bishops aren't going to have their say. So, is that what he played in the game? Oh, it is. Yeah, now B3. I'm not so sure about B3. I really feel like I didn't play this game all that good. But that's okay as long as we learn from it. B3 gives up the A3 square, and after I played it, I was like, oh, he could play bishop A3. So let's see if the computer likes it. Oh, it looks rook A3. I thought if this, threatening this, I have to go rook B1, I thought. This rook. Oh, I can play this one because the bishop's blocking. Wow, that's kind of cute. And if the bishop moves away, I come back. That is kind of funny. Or if the bishop moves away, I go here, probably. Wow. All right, well, that's a cool idea I didn't see. I thought I'd have to do this. That's not a good position. I mean, computer says it's fine, but that's not how I want my rooks to be. So, you know, maybe I have this plan. I don't know. I doubt it. Okay. So B3, and it also weakens this. I saw that if he attacks it, though, I could play King D3. The thing that I failed to notice, though, in my calculation is that he's hitting this again. So it's actually a fork on my 2 pawns. So I think I better take that knight, and that is what I did. So I had to give up my bishop pair. And now the e-file's open, and guess who's on the e-file? So it just felt like, okay, now I have to spend a tempo on my king. I need to spend a tempo and do something with this so I can get the rook active. Maybe a4. Yeah, and I did play king d3. Wow, I definitely thought about a4 here. So if he takes and I take, I guess he doesn't have b5, but the computer likes f5, a move I didn't consider so much. So I guess if I take, I'm isolating my pawns, and the rook will... Oh, yeah, f5's good. f5's good. It's opening up the rook on this pawn, and it's attacking here. And if I take, the rook still can recapture. Black could even double. Yeah, f5 is a nice move. That's a pawn break too, just not one that I'm used to seeing. Like, not this type of thing. But in the game, this didn't happen. Instead, king d3, I played f5, which might be good just to stop him from playing f5. Yeah, computer agrees. Also likes a4. So f5, and he traded bishops. I thought he should. I took the bishop. I thought this trade might be good because of the lateral defense on the a2 pawn. But maybe it doesn't matter since I want to play a4 anyway. Yeah, here I got to take the pawn. Yeah, and this, I think I underestimated this move. The black king can now come to f6, hiding behind my own pawn, but also threatening to take it. So that's really annoying. And I don't have lateral defense, so that means I have to go passive. I don't like playing passive, so. Oh, and the computer wants f6 check. I thought about playing something like this. That's like a pawn sacrifice, and maybe a temporary one, like if black takes it. Probably the point is now I can play like rook f2 check, and this king must defend the pawn now. So that's a cool little idea. It flashed through my mind, but I didn't give it serious thought for some reason. But given how passive I end up, like, okay, so I go a4, I'm like, I have to get counterplay or I'm gonna lose. So a4, king f6, of course. I thought about a5 here, and I also thought about just defending the pawn, and that is what I landed on. This move. Yeah, so going passive is often wrong, and here it's wrong. I'm looking at the engine. I'm going to turn it back off, though. Let's see if we can go through some lines. So one bad thing about this move is it did disconnect my rooks. So I'm not threatening to take here because that would hang my rook. So my a pawn is pinned, actually. And I wonder if I should just let black take the pawn. I probably can. I really need to get my rooks active. It's probably what I should do. Like maybe rook f2. I mean, I am guarding the infiltration squares. Although, to be honest, I'd be a little worried about black doubling. But at least now if black comes in, I can go here and cause some headaches. If I do win this pawn, this becomes a passed pawn. So that's a benefit. Okay. Let's see what happened. I went full passive here. Rook e4. So probably he's going to double on the e-file. Yeah, I was desperate here. So I played c4. It's a little bit of a trick. It's probably not a good move. But I was thinking, you know, if he does this and he doesn't think, I will take his rook and win the game. So just attacking the overworked D pawn. That was the point of this move. He probably could take once. Or maybe he can just ignore it. Okay, I'm gonna see what the computer wants. Oh, rook h4. Yeah, of course. I mean, I would have to go here, but now maybe rook h5. No, it wants to take now. D takes c4. I would take. And then c5. Wow. c5 or b6. That's interesting, you know, because it's like black is at the point where they can win a pawn. Maybe they're in no hurry. I don't know what that is about. Oh, I guess they're threatening rook takes d4 check. That's annoying. And if I take maybe this move? Oh, it says rook takes c4. Computer finds all these interesting ways to win pawns. Yeah, that's cute. Okay, but in the game, there was no rook h4. Or was there? Maybe there was. Is this a game? I can't remember my games. This is what happened. And I did play rook f3. Okay, so I was not liking my position here. And I was kind of being down on myself, I'll be honest with you. I'm like, oh, I haven't been playing. You know, I did move recently and I'm setting up my new place. And that has meant less chess for me. And I'm just like, oh, I'm rusty and whatever. Those thoughts are not, they don't help anybody. So when you have thoughts like that, try to start looking at the board and think about chess, you know? And I did eventually snap out of it. Also, the time situation was getting critical. My opponent had 6 minutes. I had 4 minutes. And I knew I was worse here. I mean, maybe losing. So he took here. I took back, of course. And I actually thought this was a nice little improvement for me because I might have a scary plan of maybe taking this and having an outside pass pawn. Okay, the rook came into a5. That blockades my pawn, stops my king from coming up, so I thought that move was pretty good. And I went rook a3. Wasn't really sure what to do here. I mean, if rook b1, he plays rook takes a4 check. I thought that's not good. So I should leave that rook there. If I put the other rook here, probably the king takes. Oh, wow, it says b5 check. This is the move I was afraid of in the game, actually. Because I cannot take the pawn. And if I go, yeah, this is what I was planning. I think he can take here. This must be fairly... Wait. Can he do that? Let's see. Takes. It's probably good. I think black's winning. So, okay. So I thought he should play b5 check here, but he did not. He played rook takes. So I was kind of willing to sacrifice that pawn, so I was happy to see he took time to take it. So I traded rooks because now I'm going to try for that plan. You know, if I can do this and queen my a pawn, it'll probably secure a draw and it might win. You never know. So, okay, he takes king c5. Now the downside is that my king is defending this pawn, but my rook is nicely doing two things. So talk about active. He really came alive. The thing is, the black king is mobile, and so is this pawn. So, and I'm down a pawn, so I'm probably worse. Rook e4. Can't say I understood this move. What's he trying to do with this? Okay, so I went a5. King there. I think he's trying to bring his king over to stop my pawn, maybe. Okay, but it looks like I can take that pawn. Not much you can do about it. Yeah, so he took that pawn, I took this pawn. I think trades are good for me though. When you're down a pawn, try to trade pawns off and then you won't be losing anymore. So, and don't trade rooks off because then you'll definitely be losing. So this is going in the right direction for me to hold a draw. King up, kind of clever. He's saying, I'm going to check you and good luck getting out of the way your pawn. Fair enough. Then my king would be out of the game and I'd probably be losing. So I didn't go for that. King b6 instead. Check, and I came out. I don't know if I played this part right. Like, my king wants to support my pawn. But on the other hand, I was a little worried about these guys. So I brought my king back out to be active. Check. King over, king over. So I reasoned that black's going to try to win my pawn. But if they do that, I want to win one of their pawns, and then we're still on the way to a draw. So a6. King there. And how do I win a pawn? I was also really hoping for something like the king tries to take my pawn on a7, and I go here, and when the king takes, I check and get a pawn that way. Check. That does force the king in the corner. But on the other hand, how am I ever going to queen it? I don't think I can. So, yeah, and here I was kind of mad at myself. What did I want to play here? I think I wanted to play rook f3. Or rook e6 or something. Because this move seems pointless and actually bad because my rook's defending that pawn. So then I go here, and now he has rook b4 check. So I'm not sure why I did that. I mean, I can still go here, and if he takes the pawn, I take there. So maybe this is still good. He'll come here, check me away. I don't know. All right, so he's going to try to queen. So I went here. I was kind of expecting check with the pawn I was expecting, but he did this. Now, if he wants to go take my h pawn, I think I'm pretty happy. Yeah, and he did. So I took this pawn. Yeah, and I have to admit, I think I'm just fighting for a draw, so 48 seconds left on my clock. I'm just trying to be a vacuum cleaner. He wanted to take my pawn. Now, if I check, because it almost looks like it's winning, he can't block. So that would be a huge mistake, but the king would just take, so I didn't want to do that, so I moved my rook back to defend it. He went here, cutting my king off from the pawn. Maybe he's going to run that pawn. I don't know. It's a little bit scary, actually. But I guess if h5, rook h6 should be fine. But I played rook h6, and I said, you know, go ahead. Take that, and I'm going to try to win this pawn. So rook over there, and now I really want my king on h6. But I can't imagine this position's dangerous. This pawn is not very far ahead. Yeah, and here at this point, I could just trade rooks. So it did end up a draw. So unfortunately, this game put me below 1700. Yeah, guys, I'm trying. But this opponent was rated a little bit lower than me. I was 1700 for the game on the dot, and he was 1674. So I lost one rating point. So back to 1699. But that's okay. One more win, and I'm going to make the 1700s my new home very soon. So now I'm going to turn on the key moments thing because I have a feeling I made a lot of bad mistakes. So let's look at this. F4. And how's the screen look, by the way? It's okay. All right, so A4 is inaccurate here. So what should I play? Oh, this is where the computer wanted to sack the F pawn. So I could do that. Wow, that's the best move. Isn't that something? Black still has an edge after this, though. It's just a way to get counterplay, I guess. Pretty interesting. Yeah, because I just can't go full passive like I did this game. I think I did a poor job. Okay, C4 is a trickery move. It says black's totally winning after this. Because of rook H4. Yeah. And white is lost. So, instead of that, what should I play here? Good question. I'm assuming I need like counterplay of some sort, but okay, A5 comes to mind. Can I play A5? Wow, it was the best move. Who would have thought? It just stops the pawn from being like pinned and attacked. Still pinned, but at least it's not attacked. And if he goes here and attacks it, I'll go up again. You know? And then that pawn's kind of strong, and that's an improvement for me. Okay, let's continue. I love this feature on chess.com. I think this is really helpful, especially like right after you analyze to do this. It says this was a game changer. Okay, whatever. Rook A3 was a horrible mistake. Wow, black's winning again due to C5. We didn't look at this in the analysis. So rook A3, C5 is a problem. So what do I do then? I have no idea at all. C5 attacks the pinned pawn. That's the thing. How do I stop that move? If rook B1, rook check. I don't like that at all. I am at a loss here. I'm going to ask the thing. Rook D3. Giving up this pawn for no reason. I guess he's getting it anyway. Okay, and what if C5? Then it says go rook B1. Because this pawn is now guarded by the rook. Wow, I had no idea C5 was that much of a threat right there. No clue. I might make a flashcard of that one. Okay, it says this was a game changer. Yeah, and this ending, I must have played halfway decent because I was losing. Well, let's put it this way. My opponent gave away their advantage. Wow, it said I was winning here. I'm winning here. And king b6 is a mistake. Wow, no kidding. So what could possibly be the move here? Could it be a6? It's probably a6. No, that's a mistake. It's a draw now. He could play rook b4 check. This is what I thought. And then I thought I have to go hide. Just leaving some space. But my king's going to be trapped in the corner. I don't like this at all. I'm just wondering too, like, is there a chance I could get mated? I mean, there's certainly a chance. Like something like king here and rook on the back rank. I don't know. All right, well, it wasn't that. So if it wasn't a6, then what else can I do? Maybe it's a rook move. Ooh, maybe it's this. No, rook b4 check. Okay, I guess I don't know what to do here. Oh, it says rook to b3 is winning. What? Oh, just stopping the check. Oh my god. It didn't even occur to me I could stop the check with my rook. But I mean, I would expect this. Oh, look at that. Roll out the red carpet. Yeah, that's beautiful. I didn't see that at all. That's probably so obvious to some people. It must be a gap in my knowledge. Okay, but it's still a draw. King b6 is a mistake. Oh, because of this. And that's it. And okay, well, it says that it was a draw by insufficient material. White had 94.2% accuracy for me. My opponent had 95.5% accuracy. And if I go to the report, it says that I had 4 inaccuracies and 3 mistakes. And my opponent had 4 inaccuracies, 2 mistakes, and a blunder. Wow, so really seems like it should be a draw based on those stats. But really, it was a game of follies. So a lot to learn from this one. Yeah, I don't think I deserved to stay in 1700 after that game. But no worries. I'll be back, and I'm going to get back in form with some studying, and I'll be back with more chess. So hope you enjoyed it. Bye.